Capricorn, what an interesting time for you. Let's dive in and look at your star sign and what I see for July 2023. It's going to be juicy. Why is it going to be juicy? The first thing that comes to mind, Capricorn, is the Rita Ora song. Now, not all of you may like it, but it's more the analogy, the old me is gone. And I do feel that your zodiac sign in particular has had Pluto transitioning through it. In total, it will be 20 years. We haven't quite completed it. So you might have been forgiven if you felt a couple of months ago like things were loosening up, things were lightening up, movement was happening. You were able to directly make some solid changes in a different area of your life. It kind of feels like you've gone backwards a bit. You'd be perfectly, perfectly true in feeling such, but you are revisiting some old themes inside yourself, and it is a lot of changes that you're directly going through. The other thing before we get into the 5 must-knows for this month will be that Saturn in Pisces went retrograde last month and Neptune went retrograde. If you don't understand this, I'm going to break it down into the different areas of your life and the key themes that will come up this month. But with those two going retrograde, it can aid in your routine. It can slow things down enough to get back on top of things if you have felt everything has been extreme. Lots of communication, lots of conversations, potentially even contracts that you'll be dealing with because of one of the 5 big things that are happening this month. The other thing to note is that we did have Venus moving into Leo last month, gearing up ready for these changes. Let's look at the 5 before we go any further. We do have the full moon in Capricorn on the 3rd of July, your zodiac sign, very personal to you. And the shadow sign of your zodiac sign is Cancer, which will be your Venus house, is the new moon in Cancer occurring on the 17th of July. The one thing to be aware of is moons can be intense. Venus will already be in shadow this month. Now, it's going to be going retrograde on the 23rd of July, and I'll give you the key dates of when it's going direct, how to deal with it. The other thing to note is our nodal cycle is completing and we are entering into a new one. So we do need to address both sides of the fence there because some old subjects of the past yet again are going to come back up. The new nodal cycle will be in the house of Aries for the North Node, and the South Node will be Libra. So, yeah, some shake-ups around that for you, especially with our previous eclipse in Aries. And last but not least, we are going to be having Chiron in Aries go retrograde on the 23rd, which can give us a hand with the new nodal cycle. Now, for those of you that don't know what a nodal cycle is, I'll give you one example fact, and I swear it's something to do with this. If you think back to 2020, moving into 2020, a lot of things in the world went down. The one theme we did depend on, which Capricorn is quite Saturnian in nature, which can be law, government, was the fact that we became quite codependent on the government system because Cancer went to the South Node. It was where we were comfortable. It was like, yeah, we're good. Everything's going fine. No, you got to go home. So that's one example. These themes can replay out this month. Why is, and it can just be a memory sense of, okay, from that point to now, how has society changed? How have we all changed? How do we view home? What are the new ways we can, value it, look at it, deal with it? What are the new chapters coming through? The other thing before we go any further is that Venus can be interesting in bringing situations from the past back. So just when you think it's over, it's not over, and some new situations come back to be reevaluated. Now, this Capricorn moon, why is it going to be quite intense? Well, as I mentioned, Pluto has been sitting in Capricorn. It did move out for a bit into Aquarius, which was giving us a lighter feeling. Why? It's because it was at the 0 degrees. And so some of that pressure has been getting quite intense lately is because it takes a very long time to get through to the higher degree. On the lower degree, it's the introduction to it. It's a brand new beginning. It's like the full card in tarot. At the higher degree, the critical degrees in astrology, it's more intense, especially if we have been metaphorically sweeping situations under the carpet and not addressing it. So, yes, personally, it will be individual for every person. If you had been sweeping things under the carpet, it could come to a head. The other way it can be is breakthroughs, endings of one way of being in a brand new beginning in a new. For you, this is what we call a first house placement. And a first house placement is how you see yourself out in the world, how others see you. It can be the status, the image. That's why I called it reader aura. The old me is dead and gone, is because it's like the emperor's new clothes. It's like, right, don't like this, and you're changing. So it could be a physical role you're playing in society. Definitely we could see it in the collective, which we already have with the other Leo energies in the mix of astrology at the minute, is people in power resigning because the full moon in Capricorn is coming also. So it's hierarchy, it can be government, it can be for you, it's your image, it's a role you're playing. You could be going from, just being a pair worker in a position going to management. So something in your life is transitioning, and especially the way you show up in the world, your attitude, your dress sense, how you personally feel emotionally inside your family with your independence, something is shifting. So Pluto can intensify it. Try to move into that eclipse with self-awareness. Well, I don't know why I said eclipse, probably because we've got Pluto there. Try to move into it with self-awareness. Try to give yourself a few days either side. Easy, I would say 2 weeks this can linger for, but the intensity of it, I do predict, will be from the beginning of the month. Then we move into the new moon in Cancer. Now, this can be bringing new situations into your life, and it's not quite before Venus goes retrograde. So for you, if you have started shifting some things around, this can be very positive. This can be new clothing. This can be a new relationship, a new contract, a new partnership. Seventh house can be also beautifying your home. I would not go to extremes at this point, and that is because our style, for instance, I literally had a dream the other night, and it was like, oh God, I could imagine doing this video. And it was really giving people a way to deal with a Venus retrograde, is that, go all neutral patterns, and you can change the pillows up. It randomly came to me in a dream, and that's probably the best analogy I can give you, is to deal with more the Venusian style of things inside a home related environment. This also could bring a lot of socialization to your physical home, a lot of love, somebody you love moving in, somebody you love moving out, new chapters. This also can be you receiving a key to a home. But again, it is marriages, contracts, partnerships. A new chapter is coming here. So sometimes we can psychologically feel everything is over, and then bang, because we've come to terms with something spiritually and emotionally, our heart is open, and therefore we can directly attract more in. You're going to be very focused on this month. That is because the sun is going to be in Cancer until the 23rd of July. We also do have the moon in Cancer, and Mercury also will be transitioning through Leo on the 11th of July, and then it shifts into Virgo on the 28th. So I would really say there's going to be some details you're going to be looking at, but definitely wanting to move your life in a very direct way, okay? Can it still be emotional? Yes. The North Node would have shifted by this stage. So a lot to do with home and family. There can be a lot of things happening around your family, especially over the next 18 months. Now, Venus moving retrograde. How do we deal with it? Number one, it will be in shadow as we enter the gate of this month. I already have, and I have over the last few years, to be perfectly honest, I'd say probably since 2020 and maybe even 2018. Trends and transits happen months before. Whenever I go to do the predictive element of things, especially from being a psychic medium, what I do tend to find is it's already played out. So, shadow energy of a retrograde is where we're getting the indications of what some of these themes can be. It's getting ready. So we're having some of the mishaps that come up with Venus. We also should be cautious of our safety. Be it you're a male, a female, a child, you should protect your safety during its transit. I do remember it was either through Venus. I'll have to go back and check. It was Cleo Smith had gone missing, and it was during a retrograde, which upon looking at the astrology, I did do some updates and predictions, knew she would be found. Similar situations really last month played out, but it was more to do with water. That's because both Saturn and Pisces went retrograde, and we did have a T-square. So this month in the mix with Venus moving retrograde, protect your safety, protect your values, your home, securing logins for your accounts, go into experimentation with it. So with Venus, for instance, if it relates to food, to style, definitely trying some things that you haven't tried before. I wouldn't do things of a permanent nature till after the 4th of September. So if you were wanting to do a style change with your hair, it's better to maybe pin it up or wear a wig, not cut it off. Because come the direct, you then may say, good grief, what did I do that? I'm really not resonating with this anymore. So it's more the experimental things. Is it a good time to reconnect with people of the past? Yes, and I do believe because Pluto is going retrograde, a lot of situations to do with the past are going to come up. Old situations, people, places, things, as well as the Venus retrograde. So very interesting few months we're moving into. The other thing I would say is if you are looking at a relationship, I would most definitely go very slow because they psychologically and emotionally could have blasts from the past coming back. Now, it doesn't mean to say they're going to reconcile with them, but it can mean that we're dealing with old circumstances, be it it's emotional, psychological, physical, as an example. So go into it with that awareness. Try to have less attachment. Try to be in the moment of it and see how things go. And then theoretically, you can be, I wouldn't say avoiding hurt because there's no guarantee that we are or aren't. It's more just being present in the moment and enjoying yourself. But I will go into Venus for you further inside your romance house that I will break down. So what we need to know is be prepared, take those tips. 23rd, it goes retrograde. It will be there till September the 4th, where it goes direct. Marriage is not good during this time. History has shown that people that do marry during this time, breakups tend to occur 9 times out of 10. We will in the collective see separations, reconciliations, changes in style, changes in agriculture, but I will break your zodiac sign down to navigate such. Now, Mars, like I mentioned, is going to be there in the house of Leo. It's going to move after into the house of Virgo, which will be more intellectual. Show me, then I will react. Can we act overzealous? Yes. And critical? Yes. We could be obsessed by the detail. We could, and 90% of the time, if we rush, we'll be more accident prone. Another thing we could have can be subjects to do with health, because Mars can be to do with in astrology, military. It can be military, police. It can be government officials, fire. Don't want to think about that. And then you add the mix to the other zodiac signs. So Leo, in the initial stage, can be children, can be play. It can be like you're on a Ferris wheel ride. There could be a problem. It is Venus retrograde. So amusement rides and things to that degree, just use your due diligence. If you think it feels safe and it looks safe, use your wisdom and go about such, but also keep an eye on your safety. Mars moving into Virgo, we could be prone to frustration. We might be rushing to get things done. We could be quite focused on health and image, more so probably because Venus will be retrograde. So we can be quite obsessed by it and very critical on ourselves. If you're aware of it, when it does come up for you emotionally, you'll go, it's the transit. See how I feel after it moves out of this placement. I'm more than likely going to look at this differently. The other thing is it can make us unproductive, is because we are obsessive to get that fine detail down. It can also help you be a quick thinker, logical, quick thinker, which can be great with some circumstances that we're dealing with, especially if we're trying to restructure our lives at a personal level, deal with paperwork, start to be more critical with it. I wouldn't say critical. I don't think critical is a good word. More caring towards our health. It's like, okay, what do I feel my body needs right now? What do I need to address? Are there bad habits I need to kick? Saturn in Pisces and Neptune in Pisces going retrograde can bring those to the forefront, but usually it's more so if we're stressed, we're using a pacifier, and then because we're still stressed, we're still using the pacifier, so we've got two problems. So it's going to help us with this retrograde to go, okay, where is that pressure point? What would I need to resolve so that I don't have to keep using a pacifier to deal with the stress, and the stress is the real problem? It doesn't mean we're going to eliminate stress, no, but it can mean that by slowly chipping away at a circumstance and accepting the status quo of it, we can directly evolve it so it doesn't have to hold that signature, that vibration. So that can be a very interesting way to deal with it. And nodal cycle, and then we'll get into Aries and Chiron, how it's going to help, and then straight into your romance, just in case you're grinding your teeth. And at previous nodal cycle, the thing that you need to know is because your sign is Capricorn and Pluto currently is transiting there, it's adding like a double whammy. Things surrounding friends, money, values, wage increases, that is anything you were really pouring a lot into, you're going to get the benefit of it now, because we had the eclipse previously in Scorpio. And we now, and it's in the South Node, you can now have some physical movement with lots of lessons learned, lots of different situations. The Capricorn moon, however, could, until the node shift, be a bit intense. So you may have some revelations and cut people off. This could be friends. This could be tying up a debt, paying back a loan, management playing with you. And suddenly you're like, you know what? I'm not doing this with you anymore. I'm applying elsewhere. Some examples of how that pressure point can come about. But on a positive level, it should start to become a nicer signature in your life than it had been over the last 18 months. You also can be also quite fertile, so be careful. You're going to have a lot of opportunities you could do. Is that there's going to be an expansion in creativity. This could be with birthing children. This could be with co-creativity, abundance, romance, and socialization. You also may overindulge with that position. So be careful with that in the 5th house. It can be a little bit problematic, but just keep an eye on it. It's going to expand it. It's also going to make you deeply creative. Now, as the nodes move, this is from the 12th. I would say from the 12th to the 24th, you can feel a little bit out of your depth, but when Chiron goes retrograde, the nodes are like a mathematical calculation. They're sort of like energy points calculated at a point in time. And what it does is it gives you around 18 months view of what the key themes are going to be with the other surrounding transits of things that are going to happen in your personal life. So for you, this North Node, which you may not be comfortable with, Aries and Chiron's been helping us with it a bit. For you, this does come down to family, home, maybe being a homeowner, getting into a physical routine, home-based businesses, could be caring for a parent. Whatever the subject is that's going to play out for you as an individual, it's going to be there for 18 months. You may see signatures of it from the beginning of the month. It may have played out on and off, but yet again, you also are going to be pouring a lot of energy into home, either saving for a home, building a home. And, you know, if you're feeling right at this point in time, that's an impossibility. You working at it over 18 months, trust me, you're going to have a huge window. The other thing I can say is with the South Node in Libra, lots of changes can happen in your career. So for some of you, very well, it could be changes in career. working from home, caring for a parent, home-based businesses, or changing the way you directly relate to a current career. Aries and Chiron will help you with that confidence. If you feel out of your depth, I do have coaching online. Romance is going to be juicy. Blast from the past. Singles and couples, this is very changeable. You may change your mind on so many things. I can also say that directly because we do have the moon there, we have Pluto there. You at a personal level may be very quiet. You could get very frustrated. You may need to hold your cool. Some secrets are bound to come out during the month that may be quite revealing separately. In renegotiating the terms of connection, something that you felt had reached its use by date may come back again. This also can be a time of brand new beginnings and reconciliations. And I do particularly feel there is a potential for pregnancies here. One thing's for sure, this month's not going to be dull, but you could feel a little bit shocked by being pulled in various directions. Your career, if you're fed up, there are opportunities for change. Something to do with your career most definitely is changing. I do directly feel you may have a large focus on home. This could be because of birthing children. It could be because of your routine. You could directly be working from home. Others of you could be starting to focus on, in order to change your career, continuing to do such, but separately having a side hustle. I do particularly feel there's an opportunity for wealth to increase, and you're definitely looking at it from that point of view. I would particularly feel if there are any disputes. I don't know why I'm getting this, but if there was some dispute that was ongoing, be it was surrounding career or transitioning, maybe upskilling, I do directly feel some of you could be viewing that. Some of you could really be critically looking at your future. Some of you also could be traveling, so you could be having a little bit of time off work. Some of you also can have a windfall of money coming through. But I also feel your savings accounts, bonds, shares, even within your love life, there could be an individual that actually does get a pay increase that does provide you to have a bit more flexibility to experiment with what you want to do. Wealth definitely can change. Anything from increases. However, we do need to be careful because with Venus going retrograde, some of you could be wrapping up debt. I directly do feel you may be pouring money into home-based situations. Some of you also can have circumstances relating to contracts under review. This can come down to career or physically thoughts that you are having for your future. Emotional energy is possible. I do really feel if you've been working very hard for a goal, a plan, you could have been working in management. There is opportunities for wealth to start streaming through and for your budget to get back on track. I do feel be cautious around over expenses. Yeah, going overboard, I would say, but this is more towards mid-month and beyond. Just really being careful, and I don't have this feeling it's like, gosh, you're going to be broke. I don't have that feeling. I do feel at a level there could be a lot of expenses going on the social level. So this could be dining, this could be going out, socialization, presents for loved ones. There's big expenses for you. Is it big? It is, but it's down to choice. There also could be a holiday that you may be looking at to invest in. Now, your wellness sign, I would say keep an eye on your base chakra. It can be teeth and bones. We do have the full moon. I definitely feel, especially from an emotional point of view, you could listen to Earth Hurts and this could ground you. I do feel some of you may revisit an old place of employment. There could also be in the mix of it, some of you could be questioning, especially where it comes to love. Are you ready for love? And I do feel there's a lot of heart chakra. Some of you, I do directly feel you're going to have fem checks. And if you feel anything is off, especially this month, have mentioned this in the Taurus video and a few of the others, or the podcast, whichever you're listening from, is directly because we have Chiron retrograde. We need to be more vigilant with our wellness. Subjects to do with mother can come up, subjects to do with feminine. This can be your ovaries. Again, this isn't medical advice. This is key things that can play out and positions in astrology that can link to these areas. Is caring for our heart, eating healthy, trying to eliminate our stress. Guided meditation for you. Earth hurts will be key, especially if you're unhinged. If stress is increasing and you become aggressive, try to temporarily avoid red food groups. If you have to eat them due to your own practitioner's advice, always follow theirs above mine. Crystals that can aid can be pink quartz. I would also say base chakra. So I don't know why I'm seeing citrine, really good for detoxes. What other crystal are they wanting me to mention? I feel you should be quite good there. Yellow chakra. I'm seeing the yellow chakra and the orange chakra. So this can be where you're creating healthy boundaries to you're giving your power away. So I feel it could be this push-pull dynamic for the first few weeks. I would be careful with caffeine. I would be careful with pacifiers. This also could be a time that you do kick a habit for the long run. I will see you next month for the update. If you do need a personal booking, you can go to the link below. Take care, beautifuls.